Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. How are you? As usual, you will get 10 to 15 minutes to sketch it all out. And then I'll go through the colours.
Oh, it's working now.
No.
Oh, so you're watching it, but it's not.
I'm watching it through my
Okay.
broadcasting thing.
Put your sign out.
Oh, thank you. Hope you're doing. Oh, I haven't put the music on, have I? It's alright. Jackie's just leaving, so as she leaves, to post some orders off and stuff for the day. If there are any customers that come in this afternoon, I will have to serve as usual. But more people are shopping online nowadays. Thank you. I didn't put do not bend on that big one, but that'd be alright, won't it? Down there, not to bend. Okay.
I put 2 sheets of corrugated cardboard.
Oh, brill, thank you. Hello, Christine. That's fine. That is more than fine. I'll try and make this a much easier image than to paint than it is visually. And we've all got a high standard, don't forget, because Chris did his 4 weeks ago. And it was amazing. So he set the bar high. I will be on Discord in a minute. So as discussed, the colours you'll need are white, black, lemon yellow, ultramarine, and burnt sienna. You could throw in cerulean if you want for good measure, but I probably won't. Just because, really. I'll just squeeze mine out now. So as a general rule, on an A4 sheet, I don't tend to use more than a thumb joint. We'll need a lot of lemon today because yellow is more transparent. Burnt umber's fine, Rosemary, yes. Any brown will do. Well, the shop's been quite busy this morning, so I've been really glad of Jackie being about, to be honest. And I might get the fan brush out. I don't know. I'll see how I feel. Don't need much red, but a bit of red. It's very vibrant today, isn't it? Look. Proper primary. A bit of burnt umber or burnt sienna. And a little bit of black. How are we doing then? Phil and Rosemary, Christine. I think we've got Trish. I've even though my laptop is plugged directly into the router and I'm streaming live from the same laptop, I can't see what you can see. So I can't see either how many people are joining in today unless I use my phone and go and look that way. So I don't know whether the internet's just a bit rubbish today or slow or what, but it's a little bit annoying. But I am concerned that if I go onto Discord, I might lose signal altogether. So I don't know. Is it just you on Discord, Rosemary? Good, I'm glad you're good, Phil. Hiya, Trish. Let me know when you're drawn. Right, I'm gonna try. I'll try Discord, but I really don't know if it will be one bit too far with the internet tonight, today, to this afternoon, tomorrow. I don't know what day it is. What's going on? Let me plug my ear in. Oh, I've just dunked it in. I just dunked it in my water jar. Oh dear. Let's see. Hello. Hello. That'll be alright. Any brownie's fine. Okay. Yeah, okay. Cool. Yeah. I'm just gonna check because I've got no monitor at the moment of how the stream is, so I'll be relying on you two in my ear. If and I don't think yeah, I've got a massive delay at the moment. I haven't even got a blank. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I am still live. That's good. I've only got 4 of you today. Yeah, I will. So we've got Trish, Phil, Rosemary, Christine possibly, and Chris. Yeah. Yes, because you've set the bar really high now, Chris. Because yes, so you should be. Did you do it in about 2 hours though, or did you spend a bit longer with it? Oh, I was hoping you'd say you spent a long time on it, because now the pressure's on. Oh, you can hear him today, Rosemary. Mm. I click on all sorts of things on Discord. I don't know. So I'll run through the colours again. Is ultramarine, white, black, lemon yellow, cadmium red, or vermilion, and burnt sienna or burnt umber. Doesn't really matter. And oh, it is 10 past. I'll give you another minute or so. But so, which one are you doing, Chris? Remind me which was the one that you didn't do when you did this one. Oh, yeah, Waddington Manor's back garden kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, because we did it all dark, didn't we, with glazes and stuff. Yeah, that'd be nice. And I can still remember the picture, so you can still ask me for questions for colours, I think. Yeah, sometimes that's the best way, I think. Just try it and see how you get on. Right, so I'm going to be using a lot of my sort of half-inch flat brush for most of this, I think, and then some slightly more detailed brushes, and maybe a fan brush for those fir trees. Depends on time, really. I've got acrylics tonight as well. Yeah, 12, but I think it relates to half an inch roughly, so it's unusual to have flat brushes with a number, not a size. It's usually in inches the flat brushes are. So it's quite weird. Because the big one is, and the next one down says 3/4. No, it should say half. So never mind. No. So I'm just going to scoop up the white and cover the sky area in a bit of white to start with. So not runny, or just enough water to make the paint move. Sort of, I don't want it to dry. The cafe sounds very busy. Yeah, because then if you're a bit haphazard with your foliage, you see, at least you've got sky behind it and not just blank canvas. And I think that's where I'm slightly different to other painters who will like just paint up to a point and paint round things. Now obviously I'll paint around some things, but not everything. So I'm going to just use the ultramarine. Quite a peppered sky, so it is a bit more cerulean in real life, but I want to keep it to a fairly limited palette today. So I'm just rolling my brush back and forth between finger and thumb to help give me this sort of peppery sky. There's not much sky in the one you're doing, is there, Chris? I don't think. Just a little bit in the top. Yeah, because you've got to go behind certain things in that one, I think, yeah. Yeah, you don't need much because it's going to be too punchy if not. So you let it mix with the white that's on your paper. If it's too strong, what you can do is you can always go back and add a bit more white on your brush and do it that way. So, you know, there's not, as I say, it's kind of more of a cerulean blue really, but to keep it fairly muted and a nice light palette, I'll add a bit of white on there as well, just to help blend some of the colours together. Is Harry any better today, Chris? Good. Yeah. Yeah. Bless you. The hatching in what? Oh, is it canvas paper? Yeah, you will. I like to see the canvas showing through, the texture of the canvas. You could paint it a little bit thicker, but obviously you use more paint if you go thicker. I think that'll do. Give them a brush a little clean. And don't forget, as you know, I don't like to spend too long on clouds and skies. So about 5 minutes is long enough for any old sky. Yeah. So are you using canvas paper or acrylic paper? It's acrylic paper, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, it might need just a bit more paint. Because we're going to do the mountain in 2 or 3 different layers with a bit of sort of dry brush. Sort of. On the second layer. Yeah, it takes a while to get used to it. Oh, did you? He's nice, isn't he? He knows his stuff. Yes, I've just gone quiet. I'm just not. I've just gone quiet. You're the only one that usually is. Gosh, everybody, it's usually a relief if I stop speaking. No. Well, I could. I don't challenge me because I could talk all the time. That's not a problem. But I think sometimes people enjoy the silence as well. Right, I'm going to move on to do a sort of. If you look at the actual shading part of these mountains, it is a sort of pinky purple, and I'm going to put that in first. So for people that do more watercolor, this is a bit scary. So I'm going to mix the red and the blue together. A bit, oh, yeah, go for it. And then I'll go with a little bit of white in it just to tint it a little. Yeah, sort of like a lighter aubergine colour. I'm gonna do one mountain at a time, I think. Only because, well, no, actually, I've got enough paint, but I think I want this one to feel misty, and I can't make this one misty if I've got two on the go. So you can see how low I've brought that down. But I'm going to be using a thinner flat brush as well for the lighter colour, which I can't do until that bit dries. Yeah. Just watching, I've got someone in the shop, but I don't know if it's a customer or just somebody waiting to be served in the cafe. Because they're just hovering in my doorway. I think they must just be waiting. So as that dries, I'm going to take a small piece of it and add a bit of white to it. And maybe just a tiny pinhead of a brown. Just to make it paler. But I don't want much on my brush, you see, because what I want to do is sort of drag it down. I might put a bit of red on this as well, but I don't know yet. Add a little bit of red. And then I'm going to drag it down. Right, I have got a customer, so I will go down and see. I'll be back in a minute. That's nice. It's one of my calligraphy students. Absolutely. Jackie's done better than I have with sales this week though so far. But then she's on the shop floor more. Yeah, we should have some in stock, I think. Add a bit of red to that. So what I'm going to do is put in a little bit more. I will do more detail on this, I think, but at the moment sort of just dragging the colours down, and then if I use a thin brush like the thin liner brush with the dark purple in, really runny. Yeah, I've got to mix more. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just, it's basically this whole background mountains is either red or bluey purple or reddy purple or whitey purple. It's just to create the striations in it. So I don't want to do too much detail because it is far away, but it does need to have something in it, I think, that is slightly gritty and rocky, I suppose. But again, I don't want to spend too long on this because this is just the background. And it's never too good to spend too long on a background. And I'm sort of going to put a white wash over this just to make it a bit more misty. Because we want it to feel, I mean, there is green on this as well, which I don't know, can you see the bit of green on the top? They look weird, don't they, those trees? Because they're literally just stuck on the top. They look like an army of giants just standing watching guard. So if I mix a bit of red and yellow and blue up, so I can get this on. It's free for all today, isn't it? Maybe a bit darker, needs to be a bit bluer. So you doing any art, Anne? Oh, from Monday. It's tricky to make it look not grumpy. It is tricky in gouache to shade because you're. I mean, it's nice that you can reconstitute it, but that's sometimes that's not a blessing. Yeah, I like gouache. I think it's sort of like a really good in-between of watercolour and acrylics. Right? Have you done much in gouache, Rosemary? Ooh. No. Oh, probably. I'm just so this is quite a bright purple I've got, but what I want to do, I have added a bit of green, which is a lot of blue and a little bit of lemon, to do the little trees on the top and the trees up the side. But I need this background mountain done by Q2, both of them. Otherwise, we're never going to get anything finished. So no pressure at all. So once that's dried, I'm going to do a runny wash of white, just so you can see the difference it makes. Add a tiny bit of either red or brown in it. If it's quite emerald, it will go that colour, because of the amount of ultramarine in it. But add a bit of oh, that hasn't dried. Yeah. Now, does that work, or is that too? Let's dry that off. Oh, it's kind of worked. I went in too quickly and it hadn't totally dried before I added the glaze. But that's... Oh, I keep doing that. I'll move these paintbrushes out of the way. I keep knocking them with my hairdryer. Because basically the next layer is exactly the same thing with the dark purple, then the dragging of the other colour over the top. But I wanted to get that one mistier first, so when the other colour comes in, yeah. Thin little line. Use your thin brush and make it really runny, like a watercolour. So exactly how you'd make a thin line in a watercolour, that's exactly how you make a thin line in acrylics. Yeah, you need to twist the brush around in your paint, because the paint in acrylics is a lot thicker than watercolour. Yeah, you'll need more practice with that. Yeah. It'll be worth it though. That's quite yeah, that's your the dark one, then we drag a thinner dry brush over the top, exactly like we did the other one, but just bigger. I mean, you can put that in at any point, you just need to go round this mountain a bit more carefully, but I mean, this is going to be a lot lighter towards the bottom as well, but you can see how that whitewash, even though we're using the same colours, has softened how it looks. I might put a yellowy orange pale glow on both of the highlights of this, but I'll do that when it's all in and done. I'm just conscious that obviously the time factor, and then we've got the whole foreground to do as well in an hour and a bit, so it is. But it's basically exactly the same. All of these mountains are the same thing. Maybe I will add a little bit of yellow in that. Let's see. Oh, I like that colour. Bit of red, bit of yellow in that purple. That's nice. And if you don't have your brush too wet, you can get some nice dry brush marks on it. So the hatching will help give you the rock texture in this. Because I'm using canvas, which is square, so it's not even anything like a rock, but it does give you the same sort of idea. And also these are incidental, but they need to be in and they need to be structured, but they really need to be in a lot quicker than we're doing them. Well, hurry up, Rosemary, just hurry up. Probably have to put some darks back in again in a minute. Make a bit more of an orange colour on this, I think, with a bit of red and a bit of yellow. In with that purple. Yeah, it's better than I think in some respects it's a good thing when you're mixing and blending with gouache, and that you can just re-wet them and then all of a sudden you've got paint again. Yeah, well, when I'm doing like pet portraits and things, because they're nearly always the same sort of colour, there's lots of browns and reds and things in it, I just keep the tile that has all of those colours on all the time, and then I can just add a little bit more paint to them because I know I can sort of re-wet them again afterwards, and I've got paint, so it is useful. It doesn't sound like you've got enough paint on your brush. You just shove your brush in it, just shove it in. You're being stingy, Rosemary. Everybody is with acrylics. Everyone's very, very tight with them because they are more expensive than watercolour, but you're also a bit more, oh, I don't really know how to use it, so I won't put enough on, but you don't realise that you need more. My brush is full of paint. Even though I'm not using a lot of paint, the brush is absolutely piled with it, so it enables me to do more things. So yeah, if you sort of try and make sure your brush is really well loaded, it will help. I'm sure I would take her. I think I will still put maybe a whitewash on this mountain later on. Not as many trees on this one, is there, on the top of the big one? Well, it's doing it. It's treating paint in a different way. It's like I said with watercolors and things. There's only so many techniques in watercolor, but it feels different each time you do it because you're using the technique in a different order or what have you. So it's often quite odd, and it's the same with acrylics. There's only so many ways in acrylics, but because you're doing it in a different way, it feels, even if it's the same technique, it feels like a different technique. Oh, but don't forget, with the wave, we put a underpainting of paint underneath first of one large colour. So the wave and everything will react differently to being painted on raw paper, on the raw surface. Yeah, well, you can. Because what I often will do, and some of my regular acrylicers can vouch for this, is that in a normal world, if with less time restraints, and if it wasn't such a complicated picture, I would paint half of this page black, and work that way and work on the black, but the black would then act as a, this is just blue and white, I'm just putting in little places, would act as a base colour for the paint to sit on, and it gives a different effect, but it means that you've already got one layer there. I might not, oh, I will, I don't know, maybe I should put a whitewash on it. I'll see, I'll keep looking and think about it for a minute. Not compared to blue and yellow. Yeah, that's like I was saying to to Anne just now. That's what's good about the gouache, is that even when it does dry, you can re-wet it and do all sorts of things with it. So I mean, you can try and match it up afterwards. I think I'll leave it to dry. Oh gosh, it's nearly 10 to. I think I will put maybe a light wash of white just over the bottom. And smudge it with my finger in places, just so it feels a little bit lighter, ready for when the greens go on in front. I will add a little bit more, but I really don't want to. I keep saying I don't want to spend too long on it, and I'm still on it. I am definitely not doing any more of that one. I think this could work. Before I go and have coffee and stuff, because we're heading towards that time as well. Where the water is, I'm painting that black so that can dry. we will put sort of like coloured glazes on this water area when it's dry and we've done the actual thing of land in front of it. The nice thing is there's hardly any of these mountains reflected in the water because they're too far away, so that is helpful. So I think, although it's 5 to 3, I'm gonna make my coffee now. So then everything will be dry and ready for the next bit. But I think it's a tricky thing, the layers. It's working out which layer to put in first so the other one doesn't look like it's stuck on top. So technically we should put the oh, do you know what, actually? Yes. So we've done the Black River, and I'm just going to do above ground a bit black as well, which is a little bit weird. So if you're a watercolory person, just trust me. Phone as well. There's no rest for me today. Right, let's just shove a bit of black up there. I need to answer the phone as well. Hang on a minute. It was an SMS message that I couldn't actually hear. I had to listen to it about 6 times. Right, I need to clean my brush and then I will put the kettle on. So I've got black above the ground where the foliage is going to be, the ground, and black water. But you could put that black further up if you wanted to. I mean, there's no stopping you. Where all the dark trees. I probably will still have used purple. Yeah. I mean, you might find that you could put put a wash of white emulsion or something over your paper, Rosemary, before you start, or white acrylic or something. Yeah. Well, you could, if you've got a pot of white emulsion, you can just put an extra seal on. I mean, you can use proper gesso, which is a good sealant on paper, that just gives it an extra layer to stop the paint from absorbing in and what have you. Yes. So what you could do before your class, is on the when you get up on a Tuesday morning, just prepare your paper to give it an extra seal of something over the top, so it's yeah. What we'll do after coffee is I will do all of these trees in black first, and then put the green on top, but I don't want to go into that now. So if you want to get to this point, and then in about 5 minutes we'll reconvene. So I'm going to go and put the kettle on because I didn't do it earlier. Right, so yeah, I'm just going to do some really runny black with a thin brush to mark out where all these tree trunks are. I don't think you'd enjoy it in here anyway, because I can just hear so much heavy metal music going on upstairs. It's death metal, you know, with that rather than it's more about the screaming and the shouting than the music, from what I can hear. I do like a bit of heavy metal myself, however. Thrash metal or death metal is not my kind of thing. Yeah, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, any of that, but how dare he? I think since we've not been doing classes here, they've forgotten that classes are still going on, but just not in actual. No, I mean, fortunately, because I've got the headphones in, it's not that loud. But because the cafe has their music on, and Tattoo Studio has their music on, and my shop has my music on, there's music coming in, and they're all totally different. So that reminds me, let's get this bird song back on. That's probably why I can hear it, it's because we haven't got any bird song on here. That's better. Right, so I've got all my dead sticks. So the number 1 brush is good for that. No, there's 2 number 1s, but you want the longer version of the number 1. So you can either use a fan brush or just a flat brush to do the rest of the trees. Now there is a little fan in this set, but I don't know how good it will be. No, but it works well even though it's not pointy. Oh, actually, this little stumpy fan in the set. Yeah. So you want to basically where your mountain ends needs to be foliage, and if we do it black, it's going to save us a hell of a lot of time. And I know that's a little bit weird. I don't know. Do you know what? I am an absolute idiot, and I've suspected this for quite a lot of my life. However, thank you. But I don't know why I'm working on the right hand side, because I've got to lean right. I better answer that phone. I've got to lean right across this and do the other side. Back in a sec. get another SMS text message. So somebody's clearly got the shop number thinking it's my mobile phone number stored in their phone. So they're messaging me thinking it's me, but it's my shop, which is obviously a proper phone. It becomes automated, so I've got this lady going robotically, but it does obviously, if they don't say who they are, I have no idea who it is. Probably. You want loads of paint. So I'll be doing the other side as well in a bit. So a little flat brush does work in a similar way. And these aren't exactly the same trees, I know, that are in the photograph. But time is flying by. Yeah, you see, that's why I should have started on the opposite side. Well, no, that doesn't help. That's true. Yeah, a lot to cover up. Yeah, this is all with that little fan brush I'm doing this. And then we'll do it with a nice sort of green. Over the top, but we'll do the dirt next as a bit of a break. Time is really flying by now. Oh, I think I need to do a couple taller. I haven't gone tall enough with some of these. So yeah, when you look at things like this, it is all about the layering, and obviously there are rocks, but the rocks can't go in. The ground has to go in before the actual trees can go on, and the trees have to go in before the rocks in front of them can go in. So it's just constantly having to assess. Right, what can I go first? What can I put second? What's the next layer? I think I do want to stick a slightly taller tree. That's alright. Well, it's new, isn't it? Acrylics is new, so you'll speed up once you've worked out how to do it. Right, so while the black is drying, because it's now 20 past 3, I'm going to have to move on a little bit to work out the ground. Not the reflection, just is the sort of like it is dirt, I suppose. So I can put that in with a flat brush and what colour I'm going to make that with. Burnt sienna, a bit of lemon yellow, a little bit of red. Oh, well, oh yeah, you said you mixed a good colour for the floor. Yeah, it's quite pinky in places as well. So it's burnt sienna, lemon yellow, white and a bit of cadmium red. I'm going to try and see how that looks. there's a rocks there, and there is some green. If I can make enough of this, I might even be able to do some reflection in it, which is going to be quite a shock for me because I didn't think I was going to make enough. If I mix a little bit of black with it, it can just sort of disappear in the background. Mind you, there is bits of black in it, isn't there? If I just swap to a thinner flat brush and make some of that brown land colour a little bit diluted, I should be able just to get some runny reflection just by pulling down, not across, just down. I mean, there's all sorts you can do with it. It's all about time. So if you just want to get something on that vaguely looks like a picture, then you can just put it on like that, or you can add a little bit more white, yellow and red to it to have some extra highlights where the lights sit in it. There really is no end of things you can do. Oh, thank you. I don't think I'm competing with you though, Chris. I think you've got the upper hand on this one. We will. Is that a bridge right at the back? It is, isn't it? But I probably won't put it on. So if you can't see it, don't paint it. Exactly, that's a good rule to have, I think. Yeah, you need to open your eyes, Rosemary. Stop cheating. Well, wait and have a. Once you've sort of fiddled and done bits with it, it might change because it is. Yeah, you kind of do. I mean, there are times I've done paintings that I've absolutely hated, but then all of a sudden I put one bit of colour on and I go, oh, you know what, actually, that's way better than I thought it was, and I prefer it now than I did before, and I'm not that bad, and I'm better at it. But what's really interesting from, I suppose, a professional viewpoint, that still happens. You know, I can do paintings even now, and sometimes I know that they're working, and sometimes I just think, why am I even doing this as a profession? Because I'm rubbish. I can't actually paint. And it all depends on your mindset as well. For me, I mean, if I'm honest, I wasn't really feeling it today, and if I could have cancelled the class, I absolutely would have done. My brain isn't working. Ah, but you see, this is it. Once you've been painting for so long, you can paint rubbish and it still looks all right. But it's not what you're happy with. If I add a bit more red and a bit of brown, actually, that will give me a nice tone for the trunks of the trees. Oh, there's two different types of trees, isn't there, in this? Have you noticed? You've got like the fir trees, or the pine trees. I think they're pines. Yes, they're pines. Um, and then you've got on the left-hand side, you've got sort of more normal deciduous trees, which I might use a different brush for, just to be exciting. How's your gate going, Chris? Yeah, absolutely. But you know, that's, do you know, because I've been chatting to Anne, who was doing finishing off the class from Monday, which was gouache. But I find it's really interesting because what I like about gouache is the fact that you can reconstitute it. But what I hate about gouache is if I'm trying to paint over something in gouache, I can reconstitute it, and it doesn't quite cover. So acrylics are good if you want to blanket right over something, whereas gouache is good if you want to just add subtleties to it. But if you know, if I've got a big dollop of red gouache and I want to put yellow over the top, it'll end up going orange because it's just going to reconstitute. Whereas with acrylics, I can put the yellow over the red, and there's no issue at all. Yes. So the idea is, when you're painting like this, is that you know you can add highlights on and you can do all sorts of things, but when it comes to adding the green over the top of the trees, you want to be sort of sparing and leave some of the black to show through, because we got two. Now what I might do for the where have I put that brush? Where's that gone? Oh, there it is. Right, I've got a really old baker's brush, or a varnish brush here, and it's really old hog bristle round brush, awful, but that might do a wonderful uh, tree for the round trees, the deciduous trees that are on the right hand side later on. So let me just put a few more tree trunks in here. There's quite a few, just plop them in some colour there, a bit of brown and black or something, I don't know. Yeah, and you might find a bit more brown. It depends on the tree trunks, because some of them are a more reddish colour, so then you just add a bit more red. Some of them are a bit more brown, so add a bit more brown. Oh, I've just added a massive dollop of burnt sienna there because I didn't mix it on my brush. So I've got a humongous eagle nest up that tree. Oh dear. I used to be a painter, you know. Okay. We're doing all right. We're doing all right. It's going to be nice. This is going to work nicely. I can feel it in my bones. Do you know, there is a hint of mountain, and I did say there is a hint of mountain reflected. Can I reconstitute enough of that pale purple? Yes! Just so I can go with a bit of colour, like that. Well, what bit are you on? Have you done all the black stuff though? You've done all the black foliage, have you? That's all right, because we're gonna be putting yellowy green over the top of it, aren't we? Yeah, sounds good. Right, so I'm going to do a bit of green. So the light is coming from the left, sort of. Yeah, leftish. There's a bit of grass and all sorts in this, isn't there? How many have you done? Yeah, it's interesting. Nick was about, and if he watches this at some point, he can vouch for this. He was about to give up just as lockdown started because he really couldn't get the hang of it, and then all of a sudden, it clicked, and he's done some absolutely fantastic ones. So he won't mind me saying that because I didn't say anything negative. Yeah. So, you know, it happens because it gets a bit frustrating, and especially because you've come from a watercolour background. Like, if you've never come from any background, like Phil, I know you're in class today. You've done a bit of everything, but you like acrylics, don't you? Because of the way it works, and you can paint over it and adapt it. But if you come from more of a watercolour background, which you did because that was your first class, Rosemary, that's where it becomes a bit difficult because you've got to switch your brain into a totally different way when you pick up your brush. You know what I mean? Are you adding more water? Adding less water? Are you adding enough? Not enough. Too much. You know, because it's all done in a very different way to watercolor painting. So it is a different beast. I'm going to go with a bit of burnt ultramarine and a bit of lemon on the little fan brush. I wasn't going to rate this fan brush in the set, but actually it's really good. I thought it'd be too soft. So basically, I'm gonna cheat with this, and I'm mainly going to concentrate on the left-hand side of the trees. I'm gonna let me get a little bit less paint on there. That's better, and leave some of the darks on there. Now, if you wanted to, you can dull it down. You can dull them down with a bit more blue and a bit of red, perhaps. You want more yellow. You want a yellowy green for these. But not a lot. I'm not actually got a lot of paint on here. The less, yeah, I'm just using a really small amount of paint on my brush for this. That I normally would add loads. Yeah, I've mixed it with the brush and then I've wiped it off. You want it almost lemon. Oh, you want to leave the darks. The darks are the exciting bit. Yeah. The darks. And we're going to leave the trees on the far left hand side because they're a darker, sludgier green. Oh, the turquoise, yeah. No, so remember that, ready if you do it again. And these the big trees on the left, I'm only going almost halfway to a third of the way down. A tiny pinhead of red, if you're going to dull it down, yeah. Well, you see, for some of the highlights, I might just use yellow on its own. It depends what it's going to look like, which I won't know until all the colours are on. So I always... no, the nearest you get is sort of a spruce tree, isn't it? That can be a little bit turquoise, but not sort of violent turquoise. So we get in there with the greens. Ooh, yeah. Maybe if I let my brush run out a little bit, I can strip a little bit of distant greens, because I will go in with more yellow. Soften it with the old finger tap. Never underestimate the old finger tap. Oh, if that's another flipping SMS message, I'm going to go mad. Back in a second. Right, I'm back. Let's see a bit of neat yellow just on the very edge. I don't know why I'm tapping. I'm tapping gently, so I'm whispering. How silly is that? Yeah, gentle. Right, so with more of it, I use that baker's brush with a little bit more yellow. See how well this creates different foliage. Oh yes. That's a bit bright. Maybe it's a bit too bright. I'll have to stick some foliage or some branches in amongst that, I think, for it to work. So I'll use some of this green. Oh gosh, 3:45. The time's just flying by. If I can mix up a really runny green, just run it downwards in that water. Mix. I've still got some of the branch and tree colour, so let me shove a bit of that in and see what happens. Yeah, I mean, if you've got, I tell you what would work really well to do trees like the foliage like I've just done. If you've got an old pastry brush, you know, an old pastry brush that which is also hog bristle, that would work quite well because it's got a rounded end, so it would give you a very different look. Weirdly, those rocks are very grey as well, so I'm going to ignore those rocks for a minute. And we need to do the dark green foliage over there. Then the rocks, then a bit of reflection, and I think we will call it a day just because of the time factor. But that baker's brush is quite nice. It's called a baker's brush. I think we sell them in sets downstairs, but this was used for oils before in an oil class, so it really is manky. If we do a lot of ultramarine, a bit of lemon yellow and a tiny bit of cadmium red, so it goes a really dull green, maybe with a bit of white in there. A bit more red maybe. Yeah, that'll do. Little fan brush. Reserve some of that black that's there, because that's your interesting bit. Because I think we are guilty of, and I say this a lot, we are guilty of putting too much information in there for people to look at. So they just get, oh yeah. The ideal would be to get people to keep looking at your work, and every time they look at it they see something different or exciting, which is a bit of a skill that's hard to achieve, because you need enough information and detail on the picture, but not too much. So that the reflection, don't forget, is really runny colour, just dragged downwards. Don't drag across, because I'm going to show you a technique for that in a minute. So if I do those rocks, I should go a bit, I'm going to do a bit of, now I've got that in place, I can put a bit of black over where these rocks are. There's not very many rocks, but you need a darker base for them. Missed off a bit of bright green down there. Oh, I've just blobbed with water. There's a bit on the ferrule of the brush as I dabbed. Can I suck that up with a bit of kitchen roll? Yes. I need the hairdryer on this now. The rocks are a very blue-grey colour, which, let's see if I can get that right, which is burnt sienna and a lot of ultramarine. And a bit of white. But it's very white actually. Looking at the photograph, it's a lot paler than I would have. Tap with the finger. You know, how silly am I? I thought I'd missed something off, but it's the bottom of my drawing board. The colours blend in so well to the drawing board that I thought I'd not painted something. Doing it all right for time, so don't worry about it. Trying to neaten up a bit of the reflection. Part of me might put that bridge in. I don't know. See how I feel about that bridge in a bit. Yeah. Just needs a seal on it or something. But you see, what's good about it though is you can always just come back to it. So exactly, it's not worth it because you can always watch this back anyway and keep looking. I want to show you what else I can do with the water. I'm just gonna get the hairdryer on this water. And it isn't like it in the photograph, but I need to tweak it a little bit. Oh, thank you. It doesn't look that good close up, to be honest. It's very splodgy, but thank you. So if I use, I just need to find a clean brush and some really runny white, and it isn't like this because it is really glass reflection, but I'm tweaking mine a little bit, and I'm just going to add a little bit of runny white in the water. Smudge it with your finger. And what this does is it sort of just makes it feel much glassier than it is. Just with a bit of runny white. And this is where you can cover up anything that hasn't worked. In the water, obviously can't cover up anything over the land that hasn't worked because it's in the wrong place. There we go, like that. I mean, it isn't as what I would paint or how I would paint normally, I suppose, because I wouldn't be doing it in just over 2 hours to start with. I'd be spending a little bit more time with it, but with the confines of the lesson, a bit more brown in the water. Perhaps I haven't put any of the logs or anything in the land. Just because, which you could add if you wanted to, I suppose. Maybe some whiter highlights on the rock. I hope you've enjoyed it though. It is a challenge this week. No, because it will just seal it for you. Yeah, just gesso. Give it a coat. You could even give it 2 coats, it wouldn't matter. Because that would just seal it enough, possibly. Yeah. But can you remember us putting lots of colour down first, which didn't really matter? So that was your sort of sealant. Yeah. Well, I don't think I'm going to do any more. I'll show you if I get on camera too. You can, if it's zoomed in on it enough, you'll be able to see how shoddy it looks. Look how rubbish that looks. Oh, do you? Thank you. I like my reflection. I'm quite pleased with the reflection, to be honest. But it's quite fun to do. What am I doing? Hopefully I'll get the right class next time in a fortnight. Oh, it's quite a nice one, but it's a good one on colour blending because it's a sunset with elephant silhouettes and a tree silhouette. So it'll be lots of bright colours, but it'll be the blendability of it, which is whereas the week after, the fortnight after, it's a tree with it's mainly a big close up of a root system of a tree. So it'll be getting lots of different layers and patches, which will be more dry brush. So I like to show you lots of different ways of doing things. So yeah, well, I hope you've enjoyed it anyway this week. It's different to a normal scene. There's quite a lot to it, but it was quite fun to do. I might tweak the foliage a little bit to make it less blobby, but I'm not displeased with it. So I might fiddle for a few more minutes because I'm here till 7 o'clock till the next class. I might have to do a Halloween window display as well. So lots of things happening. But yeah, thank you for your company today. It's been lovely. And I will see some of you in the drawing class tomorrow, which is the succulent in pen and wash, maybe, water soluble pen. Or some of you on Friday maybe, or some of you on Sunday maybe, or Saturday. I don't know. I haven't decided about the succulent, but so tomorrow it's a succulent in pen and wash. Yeah, so you will need a brush if you're doing a drawing class tomorrow. But you don't have to do it in pen and wash. You could just do it in pencil. So it'd be very different. I like to keep you on your toes, as you know. Right, that's it then. Thank you very much. Take care. And thank you. Bye-bye. See you soon. Bye.